What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
I put the car in swinger, baby.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. It's so easy. And maybe I can entertain you at your next event. Yeah, call me up. I like to party with the people. Today on the program, Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama herself. I'm going to learn a little bit more about her sewing, her geeking, and her mamaing. So we can learn together. We got that to look forward to in the next few minutes. This week's shows, I've been just doing podcast after podcast after podcast and having a good time just talking to people, getting some stories, learning more about the world and how things happen, people to people, getting chit chats. But of course, I do have my one public show this week on Friday night. I'm at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Oh yeah, the Rab up in Conway, up on the hill, on Hippie Hill. It's a video dance party, karaoke jam. Did I say karaoke? I believe I did say karaoke. You are the stars of the show. They have a full bar. The kitchen is open. They have the pool tables, the pool tournament on their 10 diamond official pool tables. So go be a part of the pool tournament. Make some money on a Friday night. Why don't you? In Conway, Arkansas. On the party patio, they got the foosball, the shuffleboard. They have the giant Jenga game, the checkers. Yes, they have it right there at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Come join me while you're waiting to sing a song and be the star of the show, at least for 3 or 4 minutes. You can play games, have some drinks, and just have some fun with your friends. And I'll be your pal, yours truly, Keys Dan, hanging out with you at the Rab. That starts at 8 p.m. and we go till about 2 in the a.m. You know what? I want to talk to Candy Keane right now, the So Geek Mama. Let's call Candy Keane now.
Hello.
Hi, Candy Keane, please.
That's me.
The So Geek Mama?
Yep.
What does that even mean?
I sew, I geek, and I mama.
Perfect. I was going to ask you to give the people a synopsis in a nutshell. Give the people who Candy Keane is in a nutshell. I think you just nutshelled it very quickly and very easily.
Yeah.
In case you haven't figured it out, it's Keys Dan with the What Makes You Famous podcast. Hello. So tell the people a little bit more about you. Give them a little bio on who you are.
I'm Candy Keane. Let's see. Well, I'm a mom blogger now because I'm a mom and I blog. Before that, I owned a costume shop, and so I did cosplay and costumes for 11 years. I had my store, and I made costumes for other people and stuff. And then I closed my shop after I had my son, and then I fell into blogging, and now I write about geeky things and mom life in general.
Fabulous. Candy Keane. Now, can that be your real name? Is that your real name?
It is. I married into the last name, and my first name is Candy. It's not a nickname for anything.
That is fantastic. See, you married the right fella, and I'm not just guessing because his last name is Keane, and it matched perfectly, and it has that nice alliteration, Candy Keane, perfect, just in time for Christmas, all that kind of thing. No, I'm sure you've had it your whole, ever since you got married. All the puns, and I want
all the puns.
Yeah, I want to get to all the puns. I want you to list all the puns eventually. Maybe we'll put a pin in that. But you're in Florida, and where are you from?
I'm in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, but where are you from?
Oh, where am I from?
Yes.
I grew up in I grew up in Sarasota, so about 4 hours south of where I am now.
I'm pretty familiar with Sarasota. That's the west side, Gulf side.
Yes, the Gulf side. Nice.
Good beaches.
Beautiful beaches, yes.
Good place to grow up.
Yep. Nice. It's a lot bigger now. When I lived in Sarasota, it was a little town.
Okay.
Now it seems to have really spread out.
See, I'm from Miami, and I'm familiar with that little town that spreads out, that little town that gets bigger. As soon as 1980 came around, and let me say it in a mumble, and the drugs came in to Miami, the town exploded. And I'm sure there was a residual heading all the way up the coast, all the way up the panhandle, all the way up to, through Florida with that same influx of cash. Just weird, illicit money. Let's say that that came up through. And I'm guessing that Sarasota was very similar to Miami Beach at the time, as I grew up in the 70s, and I remember that. Well. Yes.
Sarasota is a bit of I don't know if you spent a lot of time there, but everyone's like retired and over 65.
Well, that's the way it should be.
So it's their drugs are a little different.
So they're all drug dealers. I get it. You live amongst a bunch of drug addicts and pusher people. I'm sure there's a lot of pushers that wear scrubs and masks from time to time.
Oh, yes. When I went to college at UF, it was like a culture shock being around young people. I was just like, they're everywhere. Oh my God.
Wait, so you went to the University of Florida?
Yep.
Fantastic. I went there for lunch. No, I guess technically I went to the Florida State Fire College, and I always said, oh yeah, I went to Florida State Fire College, which is right there in Ocala, in that general vicinity.
Okay.
Yes. As South Florida, it seems to take it seems to separate itself from the rest of Florida. The rest of Florida always felt like South Georgia, South Alabama, maybe East Louisiana in many respects. And I don't know how much of the Florida lifestyle, the Miami Beach type of Florida lifestyle there is in Sarasota. I think I've DJ'd some weddings in your hometown. But what was it for a young Candy girl growing up in Sarasota? How was life?
I'm thinking back. It was Sarasota was kind of boring. And
so, what did you do in school? What did you do for kicks, for fun? How's the nightlife?
I was like, I don't know if I want to get into that. When I was in Sarasota, let's see, it was the early 90s, and so I was a raver.
Hey, okay, I get it. That's pretty cool. Well, you don't have to say, to divulge anything that you don't want to. This is your story, and you can tell
Baggy pants, pigtails, and tiny backpacks.
That's right. You can tell it how you deem it necessary. So, wait, the tiny backpacks, that kind of calls over to anime, maybe.
Well, when you're a raver and you dress up like...
No, I don't know, Candy. No.
Oh, okay,
I've never DJ'd a rave party. A foam party. Out in the middle of a field. They call me 4 hours beforehand and say, just meet us in this field, and we'll have a generator set up for you. Really? Is that where I'm going? Yes. I think I've been there. I've hinted on it, and yes, I've been there. I know what a rave party is. It's a lot of for 4, 5, 6, 10 hours at a time.
Yeah.
and Candy, you don't have to say that you were or weren't at any of these parties. Wink. Because you're a mama. You're an upright citizen now.
Yes, and that was like 20 years ago or so.
Oh, okay.
No, more than that.
Well,
30 years ago? Wait, I'm like the 90s? How long ago was that? I don't remember.
You know, I still think of the 90s as 10 years ago. You know,
Okay.
10 years ago, back in the 90s. Wait, no, that's wrong. Reverse it.
No.
All right, Candy, I'm already having fun with you. I'm already having a blast. I know that you have a story to tell. And, okay, so you're a raver of sorts. Of course, you were just into the music and nothing else, or maybe. Or whatever you want to talk about that time of your life, Candy Keane.
Okay. Where are we going?
And we're done with your 20s. Okay. So,
All right. Yeah. That's funny. Well, you know, that's very accurate. They were a blur.
if you can remember your 20s, you didn't have a good time. That's
Yeah, I had a fabulous time.
excellent. All right. Well, I mean, so you're into music. You're into what happened in?
I did. Well,
let's say grade school and high school. How were the kids? How did they treat you? How did you treat the kids? And what were your extracurricular activities at that time in Sarasota?
In Sarasota, let's see. My extracurricular activities. I was on the yearbook staff.
Geek.
Yeah. So, and I wrote for the paper. So,
Nerd.
and also in, I started out in community college and I wrote for the paper there. So, yeah, I've always been writing, and my degree is in magazine journalism. So
I dig it.
That's how I started getting doing the blogging thing, because that's what all my degree in college and everything is in. So.
Candy Keane's been doing it from an early age. You were born to do this, born to do what you always have done. So how did the geeky culture come into it? What were you into as a child?
Oh, well, you know, growing up in the late 70s, early 80s, it was all about Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk and Star Wars and, you know, all that. And that's what I grew up with and loved. And then now that I'm older, that's like geeky stuff. But it was just cool stuff when I was little. So.
Hey, now you're speaking my language. What year did you graduate high school?
93.
93. I'm class of 86. Class of 86 rules, baby.
All right.
So when you were just getting out of high school, I was a baby DJ, and I was playing all the music for you kids, and you may have been to a party very similar to the ones that I was DJing at, and fantastic. 93, pretty good year. I mean, music wise, what were you into? Okay, you were into writing. What was your favorite kinds of music? Let's go that way.
Let's see. In high school, I was going through the super alterna phase, you know, so...
example bands.
The Pixies, Morrissey, like who else did I love? Throwing Muses, Belly, thinking way back.
Oh, I get where you're going. I appreciate all that music.
You know, like
a lot of 16 Candles, a lot of Pretty in Pink in there. I think Molly Ringwald was really into the Pixies.
90s alterna rock.
Dig it, Candy Keane, the geek mama. And I started going to clubs on like alternative and goth night. So. And did they have those in Sarasota, or did you have to travel?
They had them at the only gay bar in town.
Dig it.
And they let you in a little underage. So that's. They had a really good alternative dance night.
Yeah, I'm sure you get a little hand stamp and away you go. Candy Keane's on her way. I guess I can't call you Candy Keane at this time. It's Candy Girl. It's little Candy Girl.
At the time.
Yeah. So did you make a lot of friends, Candy Girl?
Candy Girl sounds kind of weird. Yeah, I had friends. I had plenty of friends, I guess. I had a good high school, good school, fun, you know. I don't have any, like, horror stories, like, I was bullied or anything. I had a good school. I just
Well, good. Hey, I hope that most people have a good life, a good experience. Most people.
You always hear like people, like not have a good school experience. I don't know. I remember I was contacted once by like the Maury Povich show, and they were trying to do some like geek to chic, show, and they were like, don't you have any bad experience we can work with? And I was just like, no, not really.
Exactly. No. I mean, yeah, people picked on me in school, but I think it was all in all, it was a good time, but I think I got picked on because it was me trying to find my way through life. I was the one wearing the Hawaiian shirts with the bandanas, with the long coat, with the, just really just trying to find, parachute pants and and a cowboy hat.
I was pretty quiet in school. So
But writing for the yearbook, I'm sure kids are saying, "Oh, take a picture of me and write about me." And were you popular in that respect? Did you write good articles, or were you the photographer, or you were definitely the writer?
The writer. Yeah, I wrote randomly for the paper here and there, and then some for the yearbook. When you wrote an article for the yearbook, you also had to take the picture. So,
So did you have any crazy exposés about the school?
No,
the school lunch, is it nutritional? You be the judge.
No, I'm pretty sure a lot of my stuff was just like bad teenage poetry. I wrote that,
I like that. Can you recite some of that for us? I know I'm putting you right on the spot. I think I shall never see a lovely poem lovely as a tree. Nope, that's not you. All right. So you were a poet of sorts. You were a writer of sorts. That is laying down the foundation of Candy, of who you are in that respect, being the blogger that you are today. So the geek part was that you were really into the movies and, of course, Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. And I love it when she pops up in different TV shows nowadays, looking as beautiful as she ever was. I watch these shows on the CW, and I think she plays the president on Supergirl, and she just, wow, that is Wonder Woman, and she will always be Wonder Woman. So,
yes.
And I haven't watched the new Wonder Woman movie, not because I haven't wanted to. It hasn't streamed for me, and I'm too lazy to get out and go to the movies. And so, but did you watch the new Wonder Woman?
Oh yeah.
How did she compare?
What?
How did she compare? Were you still thinking of Linda Carter at the time?
I would say you can't really compare it.
Correct.
It's just something so different. I almost look at it as a different character. Like Linda Carter is this, all-American crime fighting badass, 70s chick, and then you've got the new Wonder Woman is like a foreign Amazon, and like she's still Wonder Woman and she's awesome, but she's not Linda Carter.
Understood.
It's still awesome, and it's awesome to see Wonder Woman like that. And all of the superhero characters have all their different styles. There's a million different Spider-Man, and it's so Wonder Woman eventually, of course, is gonna change characters and be a different person. And it's funny because we were just we were watching Spider-Man Far From Home tonight with my son, and he's been watching Spider-Man with a different Peter Parker, and then he was like, "Mommy, why is his hair different? What Spider-Man looks different?" And I was like, "Well, the different actor. This is a different Spider-Man. This is a different story, but they have the same names." I was like, "I know, but it's different."
Isn't it amazing how it can take you out of the picture when they do change actors? And I know growing up as a child, I think they did change actors. And I think I'm not quite old enough to when they changed Darren's on Bewitched, but I still made that as a joke sometimes in the late 70s and the early 80s. I'm still trying to get over when they changed Darren's on Bewitched, and I've seen some TV shows. Can I even say Bill Cosby, The Cosby Show? I guess I did.
I love The Cosby Show.
And I think they changed. Oh no, it was the mother on Will Smith's show that they changed, isn't it? And didn't they change? I think they changed his wife's part as well. if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I can't remember. I watched all that, but I can't remember.
Of course. I mean, but does it take you out of the picture? Can you remember back when you were a grade schooler and you were watching a movie, and then part two, hey, that's a whole different actor,
Yeah.
and it's throwing me off a little bit.
Yeah, I tried to watch Hellboy the other night, the new one, and I actually didn't finish it. I like the actor, the actor playing the new Hellboy, but I can't get over it not being Ron Perlman.
Correct. And I believe that there are a lot of people with you. Now, I do realize that you're allowed to remake a movie for a whole nother generation, but you can't forget that the past generation is still alive, buddy. We're still here. We're still here. You know, and we may go watch it because we love the property. We love the movies. We love the comic books. We love the stories. Like, I'll watch every Robin Hood movie ever made, and I'll watch every Cinderella, and I'll watch, you know, every time the Three Musketeers comes out in whatever iteration, because, hey, I love that story. And these are the classic stories. So have you always watched these types of movies? Have you been into that your whole life?
Yeah, I have. I just like, that's what I'm excited about. Like, oh, superhero movie, you know, like if I'm flipping through the channels, it'll be like, oh, superheroes, Godzilla, something, you know, Thor, whatever, like, or monsters or something. That's what I'm going for.
Very cool. I mean, my family and I, we just found a list of the Arrowverse and what order to watch all the Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Superheroes, and even Black Lightning is in there, even though he really didn't cross over, at least not in the first season. But we just got to that point to where Black Lightning is starting to get fit in there. I was like, oh, wow, cool. Black Lightning's in there. And then, you know, they had Constantine, Vixen, and most of those things were streaming, thankfully. So we were able to watch them. Is that something that you would do? Maybe watch all 3 Star Wars, or all 9, or all, I don't even know how many Star Wars there are. I'm a bad man. Or maybe all the Star Treks. Maybe you could answer the Star Trek versus Star Wars question, but the debate answered by Candy Keane. Any thoughts on any of that?
That was a lot of stuff all at once. I'm not sure where to focus.
Yeah, I like throwing stuff at you and see what sticks. See if there's any thoughts. Okay, I do like both Star Wars and Star Trek, but I love Star Wars more. Okay, what's your Star Trek?
But I will still go see like every Star Trek movie.
Right. What's your Star Trek?
What's my Star Trek?
Yeah. What's the one that you hold the most dear? Which captain? Which?
Oh, TOS, the original series.
Original series. Wow.
Yeah,
that sounds like you have good parents. That's
what I remember from my childhood. That's what I grew up on. Actually, and when I went to the Christmas special for Captain Kirk's Christmas special, he came here, and I actually dressed up in one of the Star Trek uniforms.
You have to stop. That's excellent. And what did you think
about that? I thought more
that?
people would be dressed up for it. I was like one of the only ones.
So you stood out. You know, do you like to? Well, okay, you're a cosplayer as well. Do you like the feeling that you get when you get in costume? Do you become that character somewhat when you're dressed up, Candy Keane?
I like dressing up, but I do enjoy more sort of like going to a convention where everyone's dressing up and everyone's expecting it, rather than when I'm the only person dressed up. I get so, like, if I get tons of attention, I get a little, nervous.
Okay, all right. Well, we're getting a little bit of
so
an
I'm
idea.
I'm not like, oh yay, spotlight.
Right. Hey, you're not a narcissist. I get it.
I often fall into it, so I've gotten used to it, but I don't really seek it out. Understood,
Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama. And I'll keep saying that because I want to drill it into people's heads as we're talking and learning more about you, Miss Candy.
Yeah, so that's my handle on all the social media stuff.
All of them.
Still Geek Mama, and then the blog is geekmamas.com.
Yes. All right, Candy, we are growing through the years with you. We're skimming through your 20s because, you went to college?
I did, yeah.
And what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, see, what I wanted to be when I grew up, I wanted to have a costume shop and make costumes. But then my mom said, well, maybe you should pick something that's a little more responsible, something, like a responsible career that's going to make some money. And so obviously I had no guidance because I chose journalism. So
yeah.
on the first day of like journalism class, they're like, well, we know you're all not here because you want to make money. And then everyone busted out laughing. And I was like, oh, crap.
Where do I sign out of this one?
So I went to college and got a journalism degree. And then afterwards opened a costume store like I always wanted to do. So
Now, when was the first convention that you had or what made you want to open a costume store?
Oh, just growing up, Halloween was always my favorite time of the year, and my mom and I would make our costumes, and we'd start planning our costumes months and months ahead of time and working on them. And then when I got old enough to go to the bars where we would go and hit 5 costume contests in a row and just win them all, and I waited all year for Halloween to roll around.
You're a star, Candy.
That was before I knew about conventions and the fact that I didn't have to wait all year.
Yes, you let people know in on the secrets. Halloween is not just one time a year if you know where a Comic-Con is.
Yes.
Isn't that fantastic?
And these days there's a Comic-Con every weekend somewhere.
It seems like it, especially in Florida. And I know a lot of the other country, they look at Florida and they go, man, those people are crazy down there. It's not that they're crazy down there. It's just that there's so many of them. So there's so many stories. I know I'm living in Conway, Arkansas, and there's maybe 1 million people in this state. And when I lived in Miami, there was 1 million people on my block.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people. And amongst all those people, they're going to have some funny ones, man, some crazy stories. And even though you were in the sleepy part of the state, the sleepier, but you still had your share of times in Florida, and cool. You found a nice bar that played your type of music and got you into your type of crowd that gave you some fun growing up. So that's the that's you're touched up a little bit upon the so. We've talked a little bit about the geek. And so your mom seems kind of cool. We could talk about your mama. Hey, see, so geek mama. We could talk about your mama and maybe your dad and see what they
actually, my mom is trying to text me right now because I gave her one of those Nick's Play smart frames where you can send pictures to it.
Oh, you messed up.
So I have it all set up, and I was like, okay, and now I can send you pictures, yay. And I have one too, and now she's figured out she can send pictures to me, and so she's like, did you get my picture? It's like a picture of her cat in the sink,
Of course it is, Mom.
Random stuff. I'm like, Mom, this is you don't have to send me every picture to the photo frame. And then she can't figure out how to send them to her own frame now, so she keeps sending them to me, and then she wants me to send them to her frame. And so we were in the middle of a little text-a-thon where I was screenshotting and circling things, press this button,
Now that's hilarious.
So she's probably wondering why I haven't gotten back to her.
No, you've just turned this into a movie. That's the stereotypical mama that does not know about her electronics. And usually it's the 15-year-old kid that has to teach them everything about their computer. How do you say it? Is it computer?
That was me growing up with Mom. Yeah.
www.http.
I grew up with a single mom, so it was who's going to hook up the new, stereo with the TV, and it would be me. So.
Ooh, you had a stereo with a TV. Braggadocious, isn't it?
Surround sound.
Oh, wow. Quite braggadocious. I didn't get cable till I was 12. It just doesn't sound the same. It doesn't sound the same as when Grandpa said, I had to walk in the snow both ways, to school. And, so, no.
Wow.
I think we had it good. And every generation seems like they get it better and better than the generation before. And isn't that the way it's supposed to be? So,
Yes.
so your mom, besides helping you sew things, what did she do? I'm sure she worked hard or trying to raise a kid.
My mom was a dancer, so we made a lot of costumes together.
That is cool as can be. What kind of dancing?
The exotic kind.
That is cool as can be. Any brothers and sisters?
No, well, I found out later, when I was 23, I found out I had a half brother and half sister from my dad. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 2, and then I met him again when I was 23, and because of the internet coming around,
Yes.
one of the family members from the other side finally found me, and then so I actually re-met my dad and grandparents when I graduated college, and so we ended up on the front page of the Gainesville Sun, talking about how it was the first time they'd seen me, in 20 years.
Well, there's some small town news for you. That's fantastic. I think I have a similar upbringing situation. I think my parents divorced when I was just a baby, or maybe even just before I was born. And I knew him a little bit, but I lost touch with him. And I'm pretty sure I have a half brother out there somewhere. Billy Joe, if you can hear me, get in contact with me. And I know that's his name, and I have no idea where he's at. But yeah, it's. There's all kinds of families.
I grew up an only child, but
right.
now I have a brother and sister.
Okay. Well, yeah. And here, I think, I have a half brother and a stepsister, and another half sister. So, yeah, there you go. There's all kinds of family. It's an American family story right there. So primarily you're raised by your mother, and it seems like she did a great job. You're a fine, upstanding citizen of the world, but you designed a lot of costumes for her while she was dancing. It's funny.
Yeah, well, it was fun. We'd put costumes together, and she did, themed stuff to different songs, and she twirled a fire baton.
Neat.
She did this one thing with fire again, where with flash paper, she learned where you throw, the flash paper and it lights on fire. And she did all kinds of fun stuff, like performance type stuff.
Yeah. Sounds like a showgirl. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that's where I got my love of costuming from. And so we would just make all kinds of stuff, and then Halloween, of course.
I believe that. That's excellent. So you were raised to do these 3 different aspects of your career.
Yes.
You were making costumes. How many costumes do you believe that you made? Just so many?
I've made thousands of costumes.
Wow.
When I had my store, I made them for other people, and
right.
I would make hundreds just in September and October alone, just
That's
making
fantastic.
them myself. I would have a whole assembly line. I used to make one of my 2, I had 3 costumes I made the most of: Wonder Woman, Slave Leia, and Lilu. And I would just have, assembly lines lined up all in the living room, making one piece after another, or something has to dry, something has to be cut out, something. And I have my friends come over and help me. I'd be like, here, I'll give you wine, paint this. You need to paint 57 of them,
Okay. Well, full disclosure, I have been stalking your Instagram, and I noticed the picture, at least the second picture on your Instagram is your Lilu, and it's a fantastic Lilu.
Thanks. Yeah, that's my last Lilu. I've been making that costume for 20 years. I'm done.
Oh, you put a lot of work into it, and it shows. I mean, you look just like. Can you even say the whole name? Mila
Jovovich.
No, I know Mila Jovovich, but I'm saying the whole Lilu name.
Yeah, no.
I got Lilu Ikbaktasaba.
Yeah. Yep.
I could probably say it like Corbin Dallas did. Yada, yada, yada,
To be honest, I think last time I wore the costume, I did try to memorize and practice that, and I can't remember it all.
At least you could say multipass.
Yes.
Go ahead, say it.
multi-pass.
Now they know. Oh, fantastic. All right, Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama, still chit-chatting, finding out more about you. Okay, so you grew up with that background, exotic dancer mama, making costumes, taking care of you, an only child as far as you knew. And so how is it growing up as an only child? Did you get all the attention? And were the grandparents around, or was there other family around?
My family is all in Alabama. I was born in Alabama.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But escaped to Florida at 2 and never looked back. But
okay. So Alabama, no?
My family's still there. I gotta actually going back to visit for the holidays, but not a place I would want to grow up in. Very glad that my mom took me to Florida, even though I grew up in sleepy little Sarasota. It was still better than Alabama. So,
all right, shots fired, Alabama. Feel free to rebut.
Sorry, just Florida.
Find Candy Keane online.
I grew up in a place people go to vacation. You can't beat that.
Oh, absolutely. Born and raised in Miami, South Florida,
Yeah.
the Florida Keys. I learned
And Miami was the first place Miami was the first place we went.
Oh, okay.
We came to Florida and started in Miami, and then ended up in Sarasota when I was 6. So.
You almost had a little bit of a Cuban accent when you talk like that. When you say Miami, I go to Miami.
At an early age.
Yes, you were remembering, and the muscle memory came in.
My mom remembers in Miami. She couldn't wait to get out of there. She's like, nobody speaks English.
Okay, el resto de este programa es en español. Okay, the rest of this program will now be in Spanish. Okay, please hit your SAP now. So cool. All right. So you kind of, how come you never visited me when you went to Miami? Come on. Okay. And then I spent the rest of my 20s. I was in the Florida Keys, which is where Keys Dan came from. Hey, now you know.
Cool.
And the So Geek Mama.
Spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing how we catch our handles, how they become a part of us. No matter where I move, I think I'm going to stay Keys Dan, because I put I put a 500,000 web pages out there that say Keys Dan on them, and I'm not changing them now.
Not changing them now.
So, all right, the So Geek Mama, Candy Keane, still chit-chatting it up. When did you open up your costume shop? After you had this illustrious graduation, hey, you're going to be a journalist. No, I'm not.
Yeah, well, after college, I wanted to go on a big adventure, so I moved to California.
Whoa.
That's where, and my future husband went with me. We both went out to California after graduating from UF on our big West Coast adventure.
Okay, that tells me where you met the hubby. You met him at U of F.
Yeah.
What was he studying?
He was in advertising, and I was in journalism, so we were both in the same college.
Yeah, so you pass each other in halls, and who asked who? Who made the first move?
My roommate was in PR. So the College of Journalism and Communications was journalism, PR, and advertising. And so PR and advertising had they combined forces and would throw really good parties. And my husband was like the head of the party committee, so he was throwing the parties. And so we met at a Halloween party that he was throwing at his, I think it was his place.
What was he dressed as?
He was Braveheart.
Okay. What were you dressed as?
I was a genie.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I think
a random genie.
I think I'd get along with your husband. My whole first year of college was me throwing parties, becoming the DJ that I am today.
That's what he specialized in college.
Yes, that's right.
He was throwing the parties for the advertising society.
I wasted a lot of money at Broward College. I did. All right, then. Okay.
But we both wanted. We both were like, let's go to California. So we did, and he got a job at an advertising agency, and I found out there's not a lot of jobs for journalists straight out of school.
So California is a big place. What part of California?
San Francisco.
Oh, the north part.
That's where, yeah,
the cold
that's where
part.
we went
The not California part.
We were there for 2 years before I was like, I cannot take this cold. I'm going south, and then we went to San Diego.
People don't realize that. Who was it that wrote the coldest winter I ever spent was the summer in California? Who was that?
What's his name? Mark Twain.
Mark Twain, the big one,
and
Sam
you'll hear
Clemens
that
himself.
over and over and over again when you live in San Francisco.
Absolutely, especially you go to the Bay, it's freezing out there. I was underdressed.
And it can be like fine on one corner, and then you turn the corner, and you're like, oh, it's freezing cold. It's the wind, and it's crazy. It was just too cold. I couldn't take it anymore. It was fun. It was great. We lived right in Union Square, like 4 blocks from Union Square.
And that's the popular part of town. I think I was only there for a couple of days.
The center of downtown. So it was, pretty cool city live in. It was an experience. It was a great thing to do in your 20s.
All right, San Francisco tourism. She loves your town. Calm down. Candy Keane on your side. So, all right, you spent a couple years in San Francisco. Where to?
Then we went down to San Diego.
Oh, the south part. It never rains in San Diego. Now there, I've done some parties. When I traveled out 10 to the 8, which is how do you get to San Diego? I sound like a Californian. And I remember that part of the mountainside was on fire, which happens almost every year, it seems. But I got to the mansion that I was supposed to play a party at. And he said, go ahead and set your equipment up by the pool. I think it was Thursday morning when I got there. We had a party Thursday night. And I said, do I need to take my equipment back inside? No, it never rains here. What was your experience in California, in San Diego?
It's funny. I can't remember. I don't remember it raining a lot. I don't remember it never raining, but I also don't remember it raining.
Yeah.
So I do remember the fires, though.
Yeah, it happened almost every year. How long did you spend in San Diego?
About 2 years in San Diego.
Did you find a job there in the journalism or anything?
No. So So initially when we went to San Francisco, I was writing because the .com boom was happening and all the websites needed content. And so I was getting paid really well to write for a lot of different websites.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. There were a ton of parties, a ton of launch parties, and it was a great time to be in San Francisco and have no money because dinner was free every night at a different launch party.
I get it.
And
okay.
We had a ton of fun. We sort of fell in with this crowd of party crashers. Our friend had sfgirl.com, and she even ended up on that show. What was it called? There was a show recently about the whole .com boom in San Francisco, and it's totally slipping my mind now. I can't think of the name of the show, but
okay. I think I'm getting what you're saying, but
yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's not Silicon Valley, but it's Valley of the Boom, I think it is.
Okay, I don't think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so it's funny because they actually have an episode where they have an actor playing my friend.
No way.
So we did that when we first got there, and that was right before I graduated college. I was out there for during the summer because my husband graduated college semester before me, so he actually went out there first. And then by the time I graduated and got out there, the boom was busting, and all those places that were paying me to write all of a sudden were like, we're gonna let you write for us and give you exposure.
What? That is incredible.
And I was like,
okay.
but
That
I'm
does sound like a
already
movie. That sounds like a TV show right there, where you go and you show up for work and they're closing on you.
Yeah, so every place was just like, exposure bucks. And I was like, exposure bucks don't pay for rent. So I got a job at Bath and Body Works in Union Square.
Hey, that's a steady job, steady paycheck. Nothing wrong with Bath and Body Works.
So
I like the smell of their sprays.
Yeah,
Please
just got
sponsor
out
me.
of college, making minimum wage, putting hand lotion on people.
Now that's another movie in itself, where the college kid with the college degree can't get a job, and that's where you're at. Early 2000s, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was 2001.
2001. It was not a space odyssey for you, Candy Keane. It was a horror show. You were not finding the job that you wanted.
No, I was not. And then I saw these people standing on the corner outside, seemed to be having fun, handing out free stuff to people. And so I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, we're handing out Mentos to people. I was like, what do you get paid? And they're like, $15 an hour. And I was like, I'm making $6 an hour. Mm-hmm. And I hate my job. And so that's how I got involved in promotions. And so I started doing promotions and spokesmodeling. So I started working for different brands, promoting them by standing on the street, handing out free stuff to people.
Well, that's cool in the gang. See, Candy Keane, it's weird how people fall into things. How long were you a spokesmodel, promoter?
Oh, like forever, and now I'm doing it through writing. So
yes,
all of my previous spokesmodeling and promo experience is now going into what I do for brands when I write and take pictures and post them.
So when did you get back to Florida and open up your costume shop?
That is after San Diego.
So
I went from
but before
San Francisco.
Oh, after
While
San Diego.
I was there, I started managing promotions, and then when I went down to San Diego, I started working for Guinness, and I managed all the San Diego malt beverage market. So all of their beers and also stuff like Smirnoff Ice and Smirnoff Twisted and anything malt beveragey. So
sounds like a party job to me.
It was a lot of late nights at bars with girls dressed up in costumes, getting people to buy drinks,
And what was the handsome hubby doing at this time?
He was working for, he left the advertising agency and started working for a different agency in San Diego. And so we ended up in Florida because my husband is in the military.
Oh,
and during this whole time, he was doing reserves. Cool. So he would go back and do his reserve time. And then, it wasn't like a big deal until this whole 9/11 thing happened. And all of a sudden, like, oh, we're at war.
Yeah.
And now being in the military is a completely different thing, and now it really affects us. And so then he got deployed, and that sucked. So I was far away from everyone, family out in San Diego. And after he came back from Afghanistan, we decided to move back to Florida.
Okay. At this point, did you have children?
No, we did not have. My son's only 4.
Oh, okay.
We've been married 17 years.
Hey, God bless. That's cool. So, yeah, at this point, you were the sew and you were the geek and you were doing the advertising. You were both in very similar industries. How fun was that? Did you talk about each other's jobs and kind of really relate to each other in that respect?
No, not in the advertising. It's not Not really.
You were both doing some kind of advertising. That's what it feels like to me. But maybe you were more on the bouncy fun side, and he was more on the corporate, not as fun side.
Yeah, it was a little different.
All right. I'm thinking Mad Men, but with a twist. All right, Candy Keane. Well, you got back to Florida with the hubby, and the husband went off to Afghanistan to help out over there and protect the people.
Yeah, we got back to Florida, and I found out the promo work in Florida does not pay at all like what they pay in San Diego. So in San Diego, it's like they'll pay you really well. In Florida, they're like, one of the promo companies, it was like, oh, okay, we'd like you to go to this event. By the way, here's your bikini, and we're going to give you $10 an hour. And I was
okay, no. I remember those days. I in my early days, I worked at KFC, and I dressed up like a chicken. And they didn't pay me a whole lot to go out and dress up like a chicken. So I went back to the DJ work, and that was a whole lot more fun.
Yeah. So, and all the way, so getting ready to move to San Diego, we could only carry so much in the U-Haul. Like, we had to get like a smallish U-Haul to hook up to my husband's truck. Right. And so we got the biggest one we could, but we still couldn't fit all of our stuff in it. So we really had to be pretty choosy about what we were going to put, in the truck. And so I started selling off. I've always had a lot of costumes, always made a lot of stuff. And so I started selling all my stuff off on eBay, and I started selling really well. And I was like, oh my God, people will pay me for this.
Well, at this point, why did you have so many costumes? It wasn't all just for Halloween, right?
Yeah, it was, I was modeling, so I would make costumes for modeling too. So I was modeling, and when we were in San Diego, I would go to the Playboy Mansion for the parties, and I would do the themed costumes for that, for like Midsummer Night's Dream, or the parties would have different themes, and you could either wear lingerie or dress the theme. So I would usually dress the theme, but still involved some sort of lingerie-esque thing because it's Playboy Mansion.
No, fantastic. And you got all these skills straight from mom. That it's amazing how that mirrors and that helped you in your life. What you're doing these days. It's just it's so great when I hear these stories, and I wonder how people began. And you started your life doing what you're doing now. You were destined to become what you already are. So Candy Keane, tell me more. You got back to Florida. Before you went back to Florida, you sold off a lot of your costumes on eBay, and then what happened?
All the way to Florida, I was thinking that I could actually make a business out of it. And then when I got to Florida and found out that, I said the work I was doing before didn't pay well, and there wasn't really much available, I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to start my own business. And I did. And so I started making the costumes that had sold the best when I sold my own costumes. So I started making them for other people. And then I spent 3 years building a website and selling costumes online. And after that, I used all the money that I made while doing that business. Like, I was saving up money to, then I just went and opened a store.
You did open a brick and mortar store. When did that happen?
2009.
2009. What's the name of your store? Or was it?
It was Three Muses Inspired Clothing.
Three Muses. Why?
Yeah. Three Muses. It was named after me, my mom, and my grandmother, because they were my grandmom and grandma were my inspirations. And also I thought they always told me that, if I opened a store, they'd come, help me be part of it, and made it kind of sound like they would move here. And then, 7 years later, they still hadn't moved here, and it was still just me in the store. And by then I was kind of over it. I was just like, screw it, I'm doing something else, and it closed.
Well, mind you, your family was in beautiful Alabama. Discover Alabama. Okay, there.
So mom is still in Sarasota. She's never leaving.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
Grandma is still in Alabama, and she's never leaving there either. They're both just stuck doing their own things, talking about leaving one day and never going anywhere.
Well, it's so funny that, they've set up roots and they've obviously kept those roots down, but you did a little traveling. You went around this great country of ours and found some things out and discovered some things. And I think everyone in their 20s, and I've said it before on this podcast, I'll say it again. You're still made of rubber. You still have your Wolverine healing abilities in your 20s. So go discover yourself. Go find some things to do. Fall down, fail, and get right back up. And then by the time you're 30, hey, you know what you want to do. And I'm guessing that's about where Candy Keane settled back to Sarasota, Florida, and started her life.
Well, we moved to Jacksonville, actually.
Jacksonville. All right.
Yeah, so we moved to Jacksonville because my husband is a surfer, and so he would not go to the west coast of Florida because there's no waves. So we had to move to the east coast of Florida, and we both had good college friends who lived in Jacksonville. And so we were and we were actually looking for a house first in San Diego, and you can't get anything for less than, $500,000, and that's like a 1960s shack in the middle of the desert. It was terrible, the stuff we were looking at. I was just like, this is depressing. I wonder how much houses cost in Florida. And then I was like, oh my God, we're moving.
Right. It's so amazing that people will say, oh, Florida is less expensive than anywhere. Because really, it's expensive too. But it's a whole lot less expensive than California.
A whole lot less expensive than San Diego, yeah.
For sure.
So we decided, well, we'll be closer to family, we'll have a nice, decent house. And so we had friends in Jacksonville and figured, and I had actually never been to Jacksonville before we flew in from San Diego and looked at houses and bought a house in 3 days.
I think the one and only time I ever surfed in Florida was in Sebastian, and the waves were only waist high. So
there's a lot of sharks there.
Yeah, are there better waves in Jacksonville? Please say yes.
No, I mean, it has its days. There's good days and bad days. Sebastian's actually a good place to surf. I mean, that whole area a little south is better than Jacksonville.
Well, I guess that's what my buddy
Cocoa
said.
Beach.
Let's go surf. Yeah.
Yeah, Cocoa Beach and all that. I mean, that's where Kelly Slater's from, and that's where my husband grew up surfing. So that's
Gotcha.
his area down there as well. So I really don't like the water in Jacksonville. It's murky and kind of brown.
Yeah. Anything north of Fort Lauderdale seems like it starts to get really industrialized.
It's just, and growing up in Sarasota with that, beautiful bathwater crystal, it's really hard when you go to a different place and you're just like, your water sucks.
Understood. And I guess we can talk a little bit about humans are destroying the earth. Okay.
Well, so it's a different area. And the waves are different too than San Diego. I surfed a lot in San Diego. I haven't surfed really at all since we moved to Jacksonville. I went and did a surf camp, and I was like, I still hate the water here.
Are you pretty good at keeping your balance? Pretty good surfer?
I have a 7.6 speed egg, so a slightly larger board. I don't rent short stick. I never been able to get up on the shorter board, but that so I've got that. And
I understood about 3 of those words. So yeah, you're a surfer. I get it. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch Point Break again.
So I can surf. I do enjoy it. I just don't like the waves and the water here. I like San Diego and Hawaii. When we go to Hawaii, that's a good place for a longboard. Anyone can
Hawaii.
surf.
Why'd you go to Hawaii? Why not?
Well, we get my husband's parents usually go every year, and they stay in the military rec center. It's like Palau Military Rec Center area on the leeward side of the island. It's like this cute little bungalows on the beach, and it's It's like one of the military areas.
Will you adopt me, please? I want to go to Hawaii.
It's
No, I once had somebody. I once asked a person from Hawaii, "Do you say it Hawaii or Hawaii?" And he said Hawaii, and I said, "Thank you." He said, "You're welcome."
Well, I like when we go to Hawaii, and it's funny. We actually our first dog we named this. They always our last name they pronounce Kiane.
Oh, I like that.
So yeah, Candy Keane.
Candy
So
Keane.
I was like, that's so pretty. So we actually named our dog Keane.
Okay, you juiced it up a little bit. It's Candy Keane. Keane.
Yeah.
All right, Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama. You made it back to Florida, sunny Florida, Jacksonville.
Sunny Florida, Jacksonville.
And you opened up a store, and you called it
did.
Three Muses. And after 7
and
years
there was only one muse inside.
after 7 years of getting no help, you said, nope.
Well, I will. Okay, just in case my mom and grandmother figure out how to listen to a podcast, I will add they did come and help me. My mom would help me set up stuff at conventions. I would do like vendor tables at conventions, and my mom would go to that and help me. And then my grandmother, for the first or almost every year, she would come and stay like a month during Halloween season, and she would help me make all the stuff for Halloween. Like she'd be cranking out Wonder Woman bottoms one after another, so she would come and help. So they would be here during like crunch time or when I needed them. But I was hoping, I had this big dream that they would be working in the shop on a daily basis and helping me run it and be like a family business.
Candy Keane, little secret from you to me, and I'll whisper it so nobody else can hear. If your mom is still trying to have you fill the pictures for her frame, she's not going to be able to hear this podcast unless you press the play button for her.
I know.
Okay. All right. That's that. Okay. And all right. Everybody stop. You can keep listening now. You can start listening.
Just got to add that.
I'm just poking a little humor at you, Mom, Grandma. Sorry. I know you're going to be listening to this. Somebody's going to press the play button, and we're going to hear Candy Keane all over this planet.
Word gets around.
For sure. All right. So after you close up shop, was it melancholy? You made thousands of costumes for people, especially September and October.
No, it was. I was ready because I've been doing it over a decade, and I was just ready for a change. And I'd had my son, and he was sort of my focus at the time.
Yeah,
I had too much. It was really hard to deal, especially with customers who are like, oh, this Wonder Woman costume means I have to have it now. This is, your problem. And I'm just like, I gotta go take care of my baby.
Yeah, you're a good mama.
It was just, I was just like, yeah, it's just not important to me anymore. So
yeah,
I was just ready to focus on doing the mom thing for a while. I just really.
So what year did you close up the brick and mortar?
Was it 2016? Wow. I closed the store.
Not too long ago. So by that time, you were at least 1 year into being a mama, and 2 years since you were pregnant, I guess. So you were already in the mama phase.
I was, because I had been sending them to daycare and running the shop because still I thought, once again, I thought Mom or Grandma might come and help, or maybe,
We love you, Mom. We love you, Grandma.
I have a baby now. Don't you want to come see the baby? Still just me. So by then I was really like, screw this.
Right.
So I was like, I want to do something different, and I was tired of sending him off to daycare, and I was like, I'm missing all the stuff. I went through a lot of trouble to have a baby. We had been trying for a long time, and we did IVF. And
sweet.
It was quite it's very hard. And I was like, I didn't go through all that to just go back to working all the time. So because running your own store is 24/7, it never stops. I mean, and on the internet, I'm selling to people all over the world, and almost half my business was international. So it just never stopped because 24/7. And so I was just ready to stop it and concentrate on being a mom. And then just being a mom kind of drove me crazy, and I had to write about
it. Isn't it great the way that worked out? And plus, you probably could do a lot of that, the sewing part at your house. You could probably work a lot of that from home if you were doing a lot of international business where you were having to ship anything anyway. Are you still doing that at all?
I ship stuff every single day.
Right.
But when you have a small, demanding child, you can't sew or get anything done except for take care of the small, demanding child.
For sure.
When you have a husband in the military who's traveling a lot, you're mostly doing it by yourself.
Understood. You're giving me more insight as to what that is in your life. That point is the husband still away a lot?
He's deployed right now, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And that's got to be hard, I'm sure. You got to sacrifice a lot to be in the military.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, it's the family, isn't it?
Yeah. So so with all that going on, I started writing about my frustrations, and I didn't even expect anyone to really read it. It was just for me. And then people did read it, and it started. Then out of nowhere, like companies started contacting me, asking me to write about their stuff, and I at first I was like so excited just to get free stuff. I was like, I'll write about anything. What do you got? Toothbrush cover? Great, send that to me. I'll write a whole article about it.
And I'm sure they were happy to send you it in lieu of payment.
Yes, I was so excited just to write about anything. I was like, oh yay! And it's a little different now. But,
well, just so Mom knows she was right. Hey, you did use that writing. You did use that.
I did, yeah. So I went into writing the blog, and I guess that's really what gave me an edge over a lot of people who try to do the blog thing. Is I actually know what I'm doing with writing, and I can even write AP style.
You can write AP style. That is something that I just recently learned on Supergirl when she when she said she wanted to become a reporter, and she goes and sees I can't remember his name, Sneaky or Sneakers or whatever his name was, and she says, "Hey, you write good, but you don't write AP style." So she had to learn about that. And you already knew about that.
I still have my style book. It's drilled into your head at journalism school. And there's two styles, Chicago style or AP style, but most places use AP style. So that's what they teach you in journalism school. And it's good because you have continuity through all of your writing and your stories. And it's then as you start blogging, you start learning about all the other stuff like SEO and all that. That's a whole another thing that they certainly didn't cover when I was in journalism school because they didn't have all that. Right.
You got to get your keywords right. So your website comes up to the top of the search engines. Of course, Google has workarounds on that. And SEO used to be so much easier back in 98, 99 when I was first making a website. I came up on the top of every search that I wanted to be on the top of. But now it's so much more difficult.
No, it's tricky.
And have you taught yourself that?
Yeah. I learned it all as I went.
Fantastic. Put in those keywords.
I think I built my first website in 98.
Yes.
I built I did like a modeling portfolio, and that's where and I'd send them for like my spokes modeling and promo work stuff. And
front page or HTML?
I use GeoCities.
Okay, even more geeky than I am. I have no idea. It's probably one of those websites they let you kind of plug and play what you want.
Oh yeah. It was drag and drop. It was Yahoo came out with the I'm pretty sure it was Yahoo GeoCities, and then it changed over to Yahoo Small Business and Site Builder. And so then I had my whole portfolio site on that forever. And so I just kept refining it over the years. And then when I built my e-commerce site, I did it on Pro Stores, and then Pro Stores closed, and then I switched over to Shopify.
You were on the cutting edge of web design, the interwebs.
Yeah,
Candy Keane.
I was, when I was starting out, I started with a blank page,
Right.
Now I'm like, they make it so easy now.
Yeah, I think I still have an e-blog somewhere, and I do update it from time to time. Mostly it's about the podcast that I'm doing. I'll put links to the podcast on my e-blog, and that's about it. So, all right. Okay, you've done the sewing. You've done the geeking first, I think, and the sewing were kind of concurrent with Mom. I guess you went to movies with her. And then the mama just came about 4 years ago. How did that change your life? You become a mom. No. I don't want kids, but once you get kids, aw.
Well, you don't necessarily want them. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, she didn't say that. Once you grow up, young lad, take it back.
I had, and I think that's what led to a lot of my writing is I didn't have. I imagined I was going to have a baby, and I was like, I'm just going to take my baby to work. Oh, well, I'm going to stick this baby in the corner, and he's going to sit in his playpen, and, I'll do work stuff like I see all the other babies doing, all the other babies that I see. And then I had a baby, and I'm like, my baby doesn't do that.
Nope.
I was like, why is mine so active? He just needs constant attention. He would not stay in crib, he would not stay in like a playpen. I couldn't take him to work. It was I did not have an agreeable baby.
No, you had a baby that needed mama, and that's what
constantly challenging baby.
Yes.
So yes. I still see other babies doing this thing where parents get things done. I'm just like, I did not have that experience.
So you didn't get the mama handbook that teaches you exactly how to raise a child? Step by step?
None of the handbooks had my child in it.
So you...
that is why I started writing.
You started writing your own handbook. Correct.
You let other people know. All that stuff you read, you might get one of these.
Yep.
Don't believe those babies on the movies. You might get one like I have.
Well, good. And now you're helping other people. So Geek Mama, Candy Keane.
Just like some of my stuff, if you're on the fence about having children, maybe you shouldn't read it.
Oh, I'll help you jump off that fence. Or I'll help you build the fence higher.
He's 4 now, and so he's starting to... we're getting out of the constant tantrums and craziness. He's, a little more fun now, but mom stuff is rough.
Well, Candy Keane, little by little, they're going to need you less and less and less. And then you're going to start feeling, he doesn't need me anymore.
One day I'll be like,
don't say it with such a smile on your face. Hey, one day he's not going to need me.
I know. One day. That's why because I was like, I'm going to soak up this whole experience, the good, the bad, everything, and I guess write about it the whole way.
So when did you officially start the blog, So Geek Mama, Candy Keane, and start helping other people and putting your experiences out there?
Let's see. I think 2014. Let's see. I had him. He is 14, 15. So 2015. I think because I switched it over to a public blog in 2015. I actually started while I was going through the IVF and everything. Right. I had a anonymous blog, and so that's how I really discovered sort of the blogging community and how much I sort of got my love for writing back as I wrote through the whole IVF, everything, and completely anonymous, didn't share it with anyone, didn't post links, no SEO on that.
Not to gloss over the IVF. How frustrating was that? These are people. There's people out there that don't want kids, and then there's people that do want kids. There's people that don't want kids and they have them, and then there's people that do want kids and they can't have them. How was that experience? Every time the doctor said no, not this time.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough, awful thing, and writing about it helped. That's why I went back to writing after I had the baby. But we went through, we did like IUI, and we did the drugs, and we tried all kinds of stuff. I even tried acupuncture, everything, and nothing worked. And finally, I was 39, or they were like, maybe you should try IVF. And I was like, you know what? I think that's a good idea.
Wow.
So, and then we went through the whole process and all the drugs and everything, and only made
What is
one.
IVF? Is it shots? Is it pills?
There's a lot of shots. IVF. So IVF is in vitro. So we tried. There's like other steps leading up to IVF. IVF is like the that's your final step, sort of, until you. And if IVF fails, then you start getting into like using other people's eggs and surrogacy and stuff. But so we got to IVF, and that's where they pump you full of drugs to make you make a bunch of eggs. So there was a point where I was getting like 3 shots in the stomach a night.
Oh.
There was like a week of that. Just they're pumping you full of hormones, and you're supposed to be creating all these eggs, and then they extract your eggs, and then they later, fertilize and implant them and freeze the rest. And most people get maybe 10 to 20 eggs, and so they have all these chances. And I only made one.
Oh, my.
Made one egg, had one follicle and one egg. And they said normally they would actually cancel the cycle and not go through with the IVF because they want to have extras to freeze. And they said, but honestly, probably wouldn't do any better on the next round. And so I said, well, let's do it. Let's go for this one egg.
Let's cook that egg.
And so they got that one egg, and it fertilized and divided in its petri dish, and they implanted it, and now it's 4 years old.
Hallelujah! No, I mean, how do you feel about that? That you got this baby? That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what led to me like closing up the shop, because I went through all of that, and then I was like, he's in daycare all day.
Nope. Are they telling you at daycare, hey, he said his first words, he walked his first walk?
Yeah, you're like, oh, and he painted this and that.
Oh.
And like, that's the stuff I wanted to do.
Exactly. I want to teach him to do that.
So I, I'm really glad that I did what I did, and I'm glad I was there for, so I was total stay-at-home mom for his first 3 years.
And you got a husband that's supporting you on this. This is good.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And it's
a lot of just me and the kiddo. So it's, now I'm happy that he's going to preschool 5 days a week, and I'm actually starting to get to sew a little more now.
Yeah, well, now you're developing a routine, and you have him in school, and this way you have time to sew, and you have time to write, and you have time to do other things. Maybe watch a geeky movie or something. But,
yes. I'm super excited about school, and life's pretty darn good right now.
So are you still planning on sewing, doing the sewing part, and shipping stuff out?
I'm not making stuff for other people anymore, really. Like the custom work, I still can't. I still don't have time to do that. Like I tried doing a custom costume for someone last year. It took me like 4 months. It was just like
Right.
my turnaround time is gone to hell.
Well, most of the time they want their stuff right now because
Yes, yeah,
because
they
they
always want-
dropped the ball.
Exactly.
It's 2 weeks to the convention and they forgot to do all the
Yeah.
work and they're not going to be able to do it. So they expect
That
you to
always
work a
happens.
miracle.
Yeah, and I used to push, and this time of year I'd be up until 4 a.m. every night making costumes and expressing. I'd be like FedExing stuff every single day, people last minute stuff, and so now all I'm doing is going through. I still have hundreds of costumes of my own, and
Wow.
I have an entire room of costumes. The closet's filled, and then the walls are completely covered with those storage containers with the pull-out drawers, and every single one of the storage containers has at least three costumes in it. So I have a bunch of stuff in the attic, and then another closet in the guest room. So what I've been doing is trying to slim down my costumes, and so I've been slowly putting them on Etsy. So I'm selling off all of a lot of my old costumes that I'm not wearing anymore.
Well, you have
and also-
plenty of gently used, sized Candy Keane.
Yeah, let's Candy Keane size costumes.
They're Candy Keane sized.
And then I have a lot of stuff left over from the shop and unfinished projects, stuff that I started and just never finished. So I actually have stuff in all different sizes up in the Etsy shop. I just finished a 4X corset the other day because I had started embellishing it and sewing ribbons on it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to finish this and put it up for sale. So slowly I've been finding all my old projects and finishing them. And
well, as far as the cosplay, are you one of the cosplayers that gets invited to cons or aspire to be that, or do you still get to go to cons at all?
Yeah, well, WasabiCon is coming up at the end of the month here, and I'm a cosplay guest at that. So yes, I still do the cosplay guest thing.
Wow. Okay. So there is some kind of a monetary career kind of in being a cosplayer for you.
Yeah. Well, so I'm not being paid to show up at WasabiCon. I'm just going.
But you are. You're getting. What was it? Those bucks you were talking about?
Bucks.
Exposure bucks. Yeah, you're getting exposure bucks, Candy Keane.
Yeah.
You can pay your rent with those.
Exactly. But it's so I've done the cosplay guest thing for 10 years or so. I've been to a lot of conventions. I've been in a lot of magazines and books and documentaries. I'm on the cover of Jedi Junkies, which you can rent on Amazon.
Excellent. Well, you put a lot of hard work and a lot of effort into your cosplay, so you deserve to have such accolades and be invited as guest. So at least you don't have to pay admission to get into your cons. Okay,
yeah.
at least you get a table and people get to come up to you and say hi and hey, you're Candy Keane, aren't you that so geek mama blogger? That's pretty cool. I've seen you online. I like your stuff, and little kids coming up to you saying, "You're my hero." I mean, that's got to be a good feeling in itself. I don't cosplay that often. I mean, I have an original cosplay called Dr. What that I use when I DJ some of these conventions. But, that's my OC. But I still get a good feeling when I see the other cosplayers there at the conventions that get to, especially when the kids look up and go, wow, Batman, Wonder Woman. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You get that feeling. So good. You're still in the cosplay game. Are you getting the boy into the game as well? The little one?
I keep trying. He's not entirely into the costumes. It's funny. It's one of the reasons I was like, let's watch the new Spider-Man tonight, because he loves Spider-Man, and he already has a couple of Spider-Man costumes, but they're starting to fall apart because he was wearing them running around, playing. And so I was like, oh, I'll get him a new Spider-Man costume. Yeah. And just, he's a kid, so I'm not hand making a Spider-Man costume. I'm like, Amazon. So I I got him this, and I was like all excited, and it's coming, and I was like, oh, you have a new Spider-Man costume coming. Do you want to be Spider-Man for Halloween? And he's like, I don't like Spider-Man anymore. And I'm like, but since like yesterday, come on,
That's so 5 minutes ago, Mom.
Yeah. So I was like, let's watch. Oh, look, we can rent the new Spider-Man. And then he fell asleep like 10, 15 minutes into it because he's like, when does Spider-Man start fighting things? And, the new like Spider-Man Far From Home, he's going on vacation. He's got life happening. He's not fighting any bad guys. So the kid just totally fell asleep on it.
Oh no!
So I'm gonna have to start it over tomorrow in the middle when he's like in his suit and having some fighting action to try and get him excited about wearing something for Halloween.
That's right, the Iron Spider. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
I should have said that.
Well, he already like busted out. He had Iron Spider pajamas, and he wore those things like every day until the knees ripped out of him.
Good, you're getting that boy. You're training him right. Yes, your young Padawan. Fantastic. I'm trying. He's so geek, Mama. Candy Keane, you are living it. You're living the life that you're writing, and you're becoming the person that you were meant to be. I could see that from an early age with your mom and grandma, and your mom especially teaching you how to make the costumes and such. So, yeah, and you're all things geek. I think we could certify you. Put our what makes you famous stamp of approval. Geekiness approved. So yeah. Geek Mama, I think you've proven it to all the people listening that you are who you say you are, and you do what you say you do, and that's fantastic. Am. You're walking the walk. Yeah.
If I have any doubts, when I hang out with people who are not nerdy or geeky, and then that's when I realize I'm like, oh God, I'm so geeky. If anything comes up like about costuming or Star Wars, that's when it really hits home.
Well, Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama, you're a good follow. Tell the people how to get a hold of you or how they can connect with you.
On geekmamas.com, and on all the social channels, I'm So Geek Mama, and it's SEW, not SO. So.
Yes, so, yeah, you can spell the whole thing out because a lot of people don't know how to spell geek either.
What?
And Mama, for that matter.
That's right. It's true because Mama could have two M's, but that looked really weird. So we went with MAMA. So SEWGEEKMAMA. So Geek Mama.
Now you got it from A to Z. Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama. It's been a complete pleasure chit chatting with you. Any other things or any last words for the people?
No, I think we covered my entire life story pretty well.
Well, I'll catch up with you in the future sometime as time progresses. Maybe something new will have happened by then. So give the people some last words of wisdom and advice from the Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama.
Last words of wisdom and advice. I don't have anything prepared.
That sounds
I would say one thing I would tell people. Please. That, you grow up having a dream and sometimes you achieve that dream and then realize that, things change and maybe you need to change that dream and do something different, because I wanted to grow up and open a costume store and that was my dream. And then I found myself doing it and I was like, okay, I already did that. We'll check that box off now. Let's do something different. So you can achieve your dreams and then go do something else too.
Well, there you have it, party people. Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama. She's a sewer from an early age. She's a geek from an early age. She's a mama. Well, she learned from her mama from an early age, and now she is a mama, blogging about mama stuff, her experiences. Get to know Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama. Get to know her. You'll be a much better person. She's a good follow. And she's a good cosplayer, too, for that matter. Yeah, she puts a lot of effort into her costume building. So if you happen to be Candy Keane sized, she might have a costume for you, gently used. There you go. So get in contact with Candy Keane. Follow Candy Keane. I encourage you, you stalkers, follow Candy Keane, the So Geek Mama, SEWGEEKMAMA. Everywhere. So Geek Mama. Candy Keane, thank you so much for being on the program and telling your story. And we spent a good time. I had a good time learning about you and your journey so far. It's not over, not even by a long shot. And big thanks to your husband out there fighting and protecting the people. Thank you so much. All right, Candy Keane, thank you so much. So Geek Mama. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for this edition. Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Radio What? The music you want with some great quotes. Anger is the feeling that makes your mouth work faster than your mind. Evanescer. The music you want. RadioWhat.com. Follow Keys Dan on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of KeysDan.com. Follow Radio What on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of RadioWhat.com. The music you want is on.